Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Revamp Your Mind podcast. This is where we engage in discussions and conversations that cultivate a mindset of continuous learning, personal growth, and adaptability. And today I wanted to talk about the famous word. I feel like I've always had someone just ask me about purpose. Like, as a week can't go by if someone hasn't asked me about purpose. And I really wonder sometimes because I was in a season where I was always asking myself, now what's my purpose? I was doing this content creation, I was doing sales and marketing, branding, and then at the same time, I was doing comedy. So I really wondered, and I used to ask myself this question a lot, like, what's really my purpose? What's my purpose here on earth? What was I created to do? And that question always, it's like, it's a question that keeps on being on my mind. It was like, have you ever had like a word that is just screaming like purpose, 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 purpose? Then I was like, I would really want to find out my purpose. One thing that really happened in my life is that a lot of things changed, including even like my environment. And I went into a journey of solitude, a journey of I am not engaging with people. I did not even engage on social media, but I still had, family and friends. But I would see them more oftenly now, more than this time of my life or this season of my life. So it was just a season of solitude where I just wanted to be alone. The question of purpose was just burning in me. And I kept on asking myself, what's really my purpose? And so, just being in this season of sitting with myself, sitting with my thoughts, understanding how do I think? Why do I think the way I think? What makes me see things the way I see them? And so I went into that season of just asking myself questions and all this. And so I remember my life really changed after I encountered Jesus, after I had a swamp of suicidal thoughts, and Jesus just gave me meaning. I'm a believer and I believe in Jesus Christ. And you've got to just ask yourself, where are you from? Like, where are you from? We think that we are just here and maybe we are just like random human beings, but we are not random human beings. Everyone is created with a purpose. Even an insect has a purpose. A cup has a purpose. A chair has a purpose because you sit on it, like the purpose is to hold you. So I asked myself this question. It kept on burning. And so I really loved that question that I asked myself of where am I from? Who am I? We always ask ourselves like, who are you? If right now I asked you, who are you? What would you tell me? Remove your job title. Delete your job title, delete you as a mother and father, like delete all those things that you think they are you. Like you can first delete and then just go back to a state of you do not know even the things that you know. Like go back to a state of like being a baby and just ask yourself, where are you from? Like, where are you from? And so having that encounter with Jesus, it just gave me another whole meaning of life. Because now I started understanding that I am not a random human being. I have been created with a purpose because the word says that I knew you even before you were formed in your mother's womb. So it means the divine knows you even before you were born. Like the divine, and that's God. You can define it the way you'd want to define. Other people call it the universe, the way you want to call that thing, but it's the divine power that makes you breathe. Because right now you're breathing and you're not making yourself breathe. Your heart is beating, but you didn't tell it to beat. There is another force, a greater force that's making your heart beat, and you're waking up and you're walking and you're breathing and you are healthy. And if you're not healthy, may God heal you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, but still you have a purpose. So I would I will just ask myself this question and it burned me so, so much. So just understanding that, so you want to tell me that the divine knows me even before I came into this world? Yes, exactly. That means that I'm not random. You are not random. The fact that you have a different fingerprint, there's no one in this world with a fingerprint like yours. That means you're a unique human being just the way you are. There's who you are, your essence, your beauty, your presence, your love, the way you love, the way you laugh, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you touch, the way you do things. You are unique. You are a unique human being. You are not a mistake. And most of the time, we find ourselves in that loop of asking, am I alone? You feel alone. But let me tell you, you are never alone. That's a very big lie from the enemy. And he keeps on saying, like, you are alone. So that you may feel like you're not wanted in this world, you feel unworthy, and that voice is so loud, and you have been listening to it. You have been listening to the voice that tells you you're not worth it, rather than now knowing, like, how do I now get into this space of knowing my worth? And so how would you know your worth? And you can only know your worth until you know, like, where you're from. So I had to ask myself, who am I? Where am I from? So I am created by the divine. I am created by God, and I've been placed here on earth for a purpose. Like, God knew me even before I was in my mother's womb. So God knew you even before you were in your mother's womb. God knew you. So I would want you to go back to that state and first know that you are already loved, you're already beautiful, you're already protected. Even before sin came into the world, you're already a human being who is as important, as beautiful, and with a divine purpose, and with a divine calling here on earth. And so that whole thing just changed the whole perspective of everything in my life. My whole trajectory of my life, it changed. Understanding that, oh, so there is already, God knows so much about me. God knows my thoughts. God knows me beyond even how I know myself. And so, Him defining me as His child, that's first one identity. I'm a child of God. You are a child of God. You are a child of God. You are not alone. You're never alone. The divine presence of God is always with you, no matter where you are, no matter the situations, no matter the sins you've committed. All those things do not matter. What really matters is the fact that you have a purpose in this life. And how can you know your purpose? You need first to know, where are you from? So you are a human being. Your body is living, your spirit is living in your body. So you are a spiritual being. For God to be manifested here on earth, there must be a body. And that's why we talk about Jesus Christ. Because for God to be manifested here on earth, He had to use a human being. So God is in you, God is in me, God is in us. And so when you first start to understand that each and every human being is important as the other human being, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter where you come from, no matter your story, you already have like another identity with Jesus Christ. You have an identity with the divine. You have an identity with God. And most of the time now, when you come like here into the world, like for me, I had built my identity on things. You know, you're building your identity maybe on riches, on people, on things, on material stuff, things that cannot give you like fulfillment. And I used to do that for a very long time, till now I got so tired of always doing things, but I'm still lacking that fulfillment inside me. So I was like, how do I now get into a space of like, I feel fulfilled? Because I am there, I am creating all this comedy, I'm doing all this content, I'm doing these amazing things, but in real sense, I feel empty in the inside. And so I really wanted to find meaning. And so now I just went into a space of now regaining and identifying myself as a child of God. So this season, I had to be alone. I had to be alone for God to introduce me to myself without people. Because in this world, you have had a lot of voices. You have gone to school, you've been told you're this, you're that, you have friends, you have family, you have our cultures. We have different voices. Voices that have told you who you are and how you're supposed to be. But now you've got to ask yourself, might there be something greater than what you've been told? And now that's for you to find out. And I had to go into a journey of finding out. And that's where I'm like, you now start finding out, like, have you been building your life on the wrong identity? And now you can reclaim a divine identity. When you understand that things are more spiritual than you think, I believe I'm not religious, I'm a spiritual person, because most of the time we are following our religion and religion so much, and then we forget the spiritual aspect of things, and you move away from like your flesh. You've got to move away from your flesh, from your mind, from your body, and start thinking about yourself like now as a higher being. Like, you've got to now think about, you might be deeper, you might be stronger, you might be more things than you even think you are at the moment. And the only way to find out is for you to undergo a process, a journey, a transformation journey of you knowing who you are without people, you knowing your strengths without people. Sometimes God places you in seasons where you are alone, seasons where you do not have people around you the way you used to have them. But this season introduces you to yourself, it introduces you to a stronger you, a you that can do things without depending on people, because you've already been created by the divine, and greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And so you've got to know your power. And one thing, you cannot know your power when you have other people, because there is how they define power. And so you have to go into this season of knowing who you are without people. God introduces you to you. And it's such a nice prayer for you to pray, like, God, I would want you to introduce me to me. Because sometimes you do not even know yourself. You know yourself according to how people call you, your job, your status, your all of that. We define ourselves according to different things. But you've got now to know that you are a powerful human being. You've been given a spirit of power. If there are books you can write, you have that power. If it's living a healthy life and you changing your mindset, you can do it because you have power. And this power, you can only know it when you are alone. You can know it when you're in solitude, listening to an inner voice. And you cannot listen to that voice when you are so crowded and in spaces where there are noises and things going on. You cannot busy your way to knowing who you are. It is a journey. And we continue to be in this journey. We do not have like a destination, because I have got to be in a space where I want to know more about me as Teresia, me as Tracy. I'm like, what more don't I know about me? And maybe I think I am this and that. So maybe what you think you are, you might be even something different. You have identified yourself maybe with anger issues, but deep down, you're such a kind person. And you can be able to learn how to manage your anger issues when you now learn how to pause, breathe in and out. When you learn emotional intelligence, you start understanding people. Where are they coming from? What's the perspective of that person? Where are they coming from? What are they trying to say? Like, you've got to be in a space of knowing who you are without people, so that you can now show up into the world knowing your strength, knowing you're capable of doing things in the world, knowing that you have already been given power and dominion to own things, to start a business, to start a podcast, to start a school, whatever you would want to start, you have the power. But now, how do you know this power? You cannot know it when you're so busy, because the small still voice, you can only hear it when you're still. So we live in a world where things are fast. We have phones. We are in a technological era where things have really grown. And so you have got to make silence your friend. And so it has to be intentional. Be intentional to listening to yourself, pondering on your thoughts, self reflection. And you're gonna now know that you are not here just because you're a random human being. No, you're here because there is a purpose. You have a purpose here on earth. There is why you are created. And so after I started now all this, I started the journey. I started finding fulfillment. I started feeling peace of mind. I got peace of mind. I started feeling contentment with where I am at. I started having gratitude of where I am at. Like, I started cultivating that thing of always being thankful no matter the circumstances. So when you are alone, you get to find out who you are. It is a journey that it's easier said than done, but when you embark on it, each and every day you choose to be silent and connect with nature, you will start finding more fulfillment when you start listening to the inner you, when you start connecting to the inner you, when you start connecting with self. When you start connecting with self, things start changing, because you now understand yourself, you know who you are, and you know whom's you are. You know you're God's child. You know you are created with a purpose. And so I started, when now I came back into the social media world, I changed the content that I even create. The content that I now started creating, because I went into a journey of reading books. I used to watch sermons back to back. I just want to know more about God and the divine and Jesus Christ, and I wanted to know. So I was watching, and even today now it became a habit, it became a lifestyle. Been watching like videos and knowing, like, being exposed to new information and knowing, maybe, how do I know God? Because sometimes you know God just because of how you've been told, but you've got to find out who God is alone, you as a person. This is a journey you've got to embark on alone, knowing, like, who is God to you? What is that divine power to you? What does that divine power give you? Because the divine power has given you power, it has given you strength. So it has given you the power and capabilities to create things, to born and to revolutionize things. You've already been given that strength. And now you've got to go into this season, or embark on a season or a journey of finding out who you are without people. Finding out, how are you? How is your heart postured? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you go to work? And if you go to work, how do you show up for those people around you? How do you love? How do you care for people? All these things, you get to find out that you are stronger than you think. You get to understand that there is more to you than you think. There is more to how you are defined by people and culture and school. There is more to you as a human being. And you can find out only when you are in a space of solitude, being alone. You have got to know God for yourself. Start looking at your life and be like, what are these things that you see that have worked out, and things that just made a whole new way of just seeing things? And then you're like, how did that happen? How did I even get that job? How did I get into that room? How did that happen? And so you've got now to know that you can be in a space of knowing who you are without people and telling God, please introduce me to myself. Introduce me to me. Give me wisdom, God. Give me knowledge and understanding to be in this season. A season of facing your traumas, a season of going to therapy and talking to someone, a season of changing friends and having friends that encourage you and inspire you. Friends who, when you're weak, they are strong. They can encourage you and tell you to keep on going, to keep on facing life and embark on this journey of learning from your failures, learning from the seasons that you feel you failed, you learn from them. Now, all these things, you've got to know God for yourself. Know God for you. Read the word, journal, go into a space of just looking at the skies and be like, what is this force that just makes all these things here on earth, the earth where it has never moved, it's just there. Like, yeah, it rotates, but where we are, like where the globe is, it's there, it's stationed there. There must be a deeper force and a deeper power that makes all these things happen. And that power is what created you. That power is the power in you, the God in you. And you have got now to be in that season of just allowing yourself to be alone and making silence your friend so that you can know now who you are without people and come back into the world knowing, what's my purpose? You already know where you belong. Now at work, there's how you show up differently than the way you used to show up. How you speak changes, how you walk changes, everything changes. Thank you for listening. See you on to the next episode. Revamp your mind.